Good day, duelists! I have here in my hands a Duel Masters starter deck, but not just any Duel Masters starter deck. This is the third final and by far and away the rarest Duel Masters starter deck ever released. Since this was released so far into the game's lifespan, all the way in the 10th set, Shockwaves of the Shattered Rainbow, not all that many of these were printed, and not many of those that were printed made it to this day, which is 20 years later. One of these sealed bad boys can fetch over 500 clams nowadays, so these are incredibly valuable. Only an idiot would break the forbidden seal and unbox one of these, which is why that is exactly what I will be doing today. So, without further ado, let's just do this and break open the seal. We see over here that it has this plastic wrapping that all the starter decks came in, and also there's this little plastic piece over here that the starter decks packaging had. But this is not the interesting part. The interesting part is what's inside the packaging, which is this box right here. So, taking a look at the box itself, it says Duel Masters Trading Card Game right over here on this beautifully colored white box. In DM10 it's the first time they started doing the Japanese characters on the box itself, and on the box we have a picture of Ferrosantum, which is a Laura Giga reprint from DM10. It's interesting that they chose this creature to put on the starter box as opposed to maybe some of the more exotic, interesting and spicy creatures that were released here. But alas, we see here 2-player starter set with an exclusive premium card, which we can see here through the display. It's a Smash Warrior Staghandu, but we'll get to that after we've opened the box. Flipping the box around, we see in this beautiful holographic writing, "Enter the battle zone." Bust open this starter set and find out why thousands of players just like you are entering the world of Duel Masters Trading Card Game and winning big. No other game combines super powerful creatures, mind warping spells, amazing art and exclusive premium cards. I'm pretty sure this is just the same text that we had on the other starter decks as well. So far nothing special. We also have here, look at all you get, a description of the contents of this box. 2 20-card training decks that can be combined into one tournament deck. So this is why this is a 2-player starter set, because like the others before it, it comes with 2 different half decks that you can play against one another, and then you can also combine those into one full deck, which we will of course have a closer look at once we open the box. Then we also get one deck box that we will see what it is. Yo, it's Mr. Bazat from the future here. I just noticed while editing this video that, spoiler alert, the deck box that's mentioned here is actually not there, it's just not present inside the product. Now I'm not really sure what's up with that, but I have watched one other unboxing of this product, and in that unboxing the deck box was also missing. So I just have to conclude that they didn't include the deck box in this starter set and they just forgot to cut it out of the list of things that were inside it. I'm not really sure, to be honest. If anyone knows more about that, please let me know, but I just wanted to clear up some potential confusion, and with that said, back to the video. One exclusive Duel Masters Smash Warrior Staghandu premium card, one rulebook, one Duel Masters playmat, which I'm excited to check out, and one bonus pack of 10 booster cards, which is very valuable in itself, as sealed DM10 booster packs tend to be, because they can have a lot of good pulls. You can get Bombazar, you can get Soul Swap. We will of course be opening up the booster pack at the end of the video as well. And on the side of the box we have a picture of the 2 theme decks that you can get from Shockwaves of the Shattered Rainbow. Of course I have already unboxed these on my channel. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is the only deck product that I have not yet unboxed on my channel, so there we go. I think the idea of the progression is that you get the starter box, then you can advance to these theme decks once you get a bit familiar with the game, and then of course you can buy booster packs to get individual cards to improve and build your own decks. But that's about it for the box itself. The more interesting part is of course what is inside the box, and in order to get there we have to cut this little tiny plastic seal that we have here, trying to be gentle with it as much as possible. And there we go, we have access to the inside of the starter set with all of its contents that we will of course be taking a look at. The first thing that jumps to mind is this advanced rulebook, but it says stop. Don't read these rules until you've played at least a few games on the playmat. So I guess it would make sense to start with the playmat itself. Let's put all of these other things away and take a look at the playmat. And as with the DM6 starter set, it seems like it's a big 2-player chunky playmat. Let's have a look at it. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. It's so big that it doesn't even really fit on my desk, but I guess I can kind of show it like this. So it's got a big play surface. You could actually put this on a table and play. It's even bigger than a standard size playmat, which I guess is kind of nice. If you remember, or if you've watched my DM01 starter set unboxing, they just had these tiny half mats, but this is one of those full mats that you could just lay on the table and play, and it actually does look kind of pretty. Of course, that's subjective, but in my opinion at least, it does look kind of pretty. And over here on the left, maybe let me just show it like this. You have the rules of the game, so how to set up, what you do on your turn. You untap, you draw, and then you can play mana, you can summon creatures or cast spells, and then you can attack. So it's kind of nice. If you're a new player just starting out the game, you can have this playmat. Whenever you want to check the rules, you can just have a look on the left hand side. Of course, there's something that they did in the previous starter set as well, and they praised it there as well. I think it's really good. And they also have it on the other side for the other player flipped around. So both players at any time during the game, they can check out the rules and know what the game is about. And flipping it around, we get this Shockwaves of the Shattered Rainbow poster, I guess, but it's also a collector's list, which has every single card ever released up until that point listed over here. Like for example, it starts from base set. You have all of the base set cards here, and then it goes on with other sets as well. I guess it's kind of hard to see, but you have Evo Crushionators, then you have Rampage, and it just keeps going on like this. This in itself is really nice. It's big. You could possibly like hang it on your wall or whatever, or you could use it as a collector's list where you can like sort of tick all of these tiny boxes that are next to each of the cards, so you can know which cards you have in your collection and which cards you do not. So the backside of the playmat also doubles up as this sort of nice poster / collector checklist. So that was a playmat. Very nice to see that they kept the style from the DM06 starter deck and they didn't go back to the one from DM01 where it was just these two lame half mats. This in itself is a collector's piece because there's not that many of them going around, I guess. But then we have the advanced rulebook, which I'm pretty sure is just gonna have the same advanced rules that we saw in the other ones as well. We have, of course, kind of the basics, the setup, how to win, rules explained. But then we also have, like this, the turn order and such. But then we also have a whole bunch of sort of more niche interactions. Like it tells you exactly how the attack steps works. And again, this is probably something that maybe even players who have played a lot don't exactly know. Like for example, it explains to you that the attacking ability happens before the attack itself. It sort of breaks it down into nice steps, and it also has some nice niche interactions. And of course, because DM10 was the first one to introduce multicolored cards, this is where they are also explained. I don't believe we've had this section in any of the previous rulebooks, so in theory this is the most like complete one, I guess. But yeah, it tells you that multicolored cards come into your mana zone tapped, and that you need both civilization to play these multicolored cards. And of course, then we have the same explanation of keywords, Turbo Rush, Silent Skill now, which is also one of the sort of newer ones. It explains you how you can build your deck, what you can do, and some more niche interactions like how can't can override can and such, and a bunch of other nice rules. It also has some rules about playing with 2 or more players. Yes, there are official Duel Masters rules for playing with 2 or more players, although I myself has personally never played it. because it feels a bit clunky. The game was definitely not designed with that in mind, but you can do it if you so desire. And then we have a quick glossary with a whole bunch of game terms that you can reference. And of course, like this being the most complete rulebook, at least released in English, it's sort of nice that you can have this around and just check a whole bunch of things. Of course, in the age of the modern internet, you can do so online as well, but still back in the day, having this rulebook could have been a very neat little thing. So we have also the collector's checklist, but it's just for DM10, for Shockwaves of the Shattered Rainbow. It's not every single card like on the poster, so you could conceivably check these off as well, hoping to post some of these nice super rares in the booster pack that we're gonna be opening later. Fire Nature, and then of course the multi-card section for the first time ever in one of these little rule books. Then a bunch of frequently asked questions and whatnot. You can read all of these if you want. That's why I'm sort of scrolling a bit slower through them so that you can pause and read if you so desire. And then on the back we have this very weird illustration of Shobu. I'm not sure what's up with that. It looks like it was painted by a 3-year-old. But there we go. This is the rule book that we get. And now onto the cards themselves. So first of all, we get this shiny foil promotional special printing of Smash Warrior Stagrandu, which just looks absolutely beautiful. This card, not really a meta contender, but there are some niche decks that can use it. There are some niche interactions with it, since it can attack untapped creatures, and if it attacks a creature that has power 6000 or more, it gets powered up all the way to 10,000, and that power boost stays until the end of the turn. So for example, if you combine it with something like Fists of Forever, it can just pew 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 the opponent's entire board with 10,000 power. So it's a nice little card for sure. And then we have the two half decks that we are going to be opening up and see what they each contain. Let's start out with this one, as it has at the front a Shaman Broccoli, which in my opinion is one of the cooler wild veggies released out there. It was released in DM10 as a rare, and of course its effect is when this creature will be destroyed, put it into your mana zone instead. This respected elder of the woodlands is a source of deep and ancient wisdom, as well as a source of vitamin A, vitamin C, iron, potassium, and folic acid. It has few natural predators, as most creatures just don't want to eat it. Of course, every anime and kids show ever just portrayed broccoli as being this horrible, disgusting thing, but I happen to really like the taste. Also, we can notice that even though this was sealed, since it's, this deck was released 20 years ago, we can still sort of see this like wear on the edge. I'm pretty sure we can pick it up on camera as well. So the cards are not in like perfect condition, but they're still like good enough. We still have some cards from base set here, like of course they're not just gonna give you only new cards, so some familiar faces, Forest Hornet, Stoneazor, Super Explosive Volcanodon, and then a new card, Explosive Trooper Zalmez. When you put this creature into the battle zone, if your opponent has 2 or fewer shields, you may destroy one of your opponent's creatures that has power 3000 or less. I think this guy is actually quite cute. Has potential. Then Fairy Life with the new reprinted artwork, which I think is just worse than the original one, but it is a DM10 Fairy Life, and we have 2 of them. It's an interesting inclusion to have Fairy Life in like a mostly creature tempo focused deck. I would have rather these been Bronze Arm tribes, but speaking of the devil, we have a Bronze Arm tribe over here, which is of course one of the best and most efficient cards in English Duel Masters. We have a Fear Fang, and then we have more wild veggies. We have Scowling Tomato. It's just a 2-mana 2000 vanilla, but the art is absolutely beautiful. And more amazingly arted cards, Adventure Boar, which is just a superior version to Garabon the Glider, as it is a beast folk of course. And also just look at this beautiful art. Then another reprinted card, Phantom Dragon's Flame, which is another card that I like the original artwork of most. Colossus Boost is just a power creep on the DM1 card Burning Power. This one's actually quite a bit better, but probably still not playable. And then we have Crackzor, another reprinted vanilla, but again, look at this art, it's just absolutely beautiful. Oh man, I don't like being crushed or burned, says Golden Wing Striker, and of course we have 3 of these. So this is the first sort of half deck. It's a fire nature deck. It doesn't contain any multicolored creatures, which is quite surprising, as that's supposed to be the sort of selling point of the set itself, these rainbow cards, right? But I guess maybe since it's a starter product, they don't want to overwhelm the new players. But I will just sort of squeeze these in here so that we can see the other half deck as well and see how it compares to this one. Because of course, one of the biggest strengths of this starter product, if you wanted to onboard new players, is that the 2 half decks should be balanced between each other and they should have a fun playing experience and play pattern between the 2 of those. And we see on the second one, we have a Trihorn Shepherd, which is already bigger than all of these cards here, 5 mana. Well, we do have a Stoneazor over here, I guess, and the Super Explosive Volcanodon that can get over it. But this, you know, if we're imagining these 2 decks playing against each other, I can imagine that seeing a Trihorn Shepherd might be really scary. Then a Forest Hornet, again from base set, 2 more copies of Fairy Life. So if you were to combine these 2 decks together, you'd have a full play set. Then another Fear Fang. It's interesting that these decks have a lot of the same, these 2 half decks, I mean, they have a lot of the same cards, because in previous sets, they were built quite differently. Like you had, yeah, one, maybe like very, very few shared cards between the 2 of those. But I guess we haven't seen all of them, so let's see. We have another Bronze Arm Tribe, 2 Scowling Tomatoes, so again you would get a full playset of those if you were to combine them, and then 2 Adventure Boars. And it seems like for the second half deck, instead of fire, we get some water cards, and we have some more DM01 classics in Aqua Soldier, cannot be destroyed, just returns to hand. Spiral Gate, the reprint, which again, in my opinion, just the worst artwork. I really don't like the artwork of the reprinted cards all that much. Death Smoke is fine, but other than that, I think the original art's rocked. Then we have Tide Patroller, which is a retrain of Aqua Shooter, but of course it is a merfolk. I snagged the Fisherman last week. He put up quite a struggle before I pulled him in, but he turned out to be too small. I had to throw him back. So, quite a cute flavor text. And you get 3 of these. It's 3 blockers that can attack. Then we have some blockers that can't attack in Battery Cluster, so at least they're giving you some new cards instead of like Hunter Fish and whatnot. And then you get Marine Flower and Aqua Vehicle as your last 2 water cards. So I think the DM06 one also did this, where they put some mediocre water cards in. I think if we were to pitch these against one another, I think the deck on the right has the clear advantage, just because the fire cards are individually stronger than the water cards. I mean, things like Spiral Gate are fine, but then like Tide Patrol is just a horrible power for the ratio, and Aqua Guard as well. Sorry, Aqua Vehicle I meant, and Marine Flower and whatnot. So it would be interesting to pitch these 2 half decks against one another, but I have a feeling like the deck on the right could win way more often than the one on the left, but it's still interesting to introduce 3 civilizations. I still think the DM1 starter deck did this the best. The balance in between those 2 half decks was absolutely stellar, and the play pattern was more fun because you had these light blockers that could, you know, they could attack and they could interact with the opponent in certain ways. But alas, these are the 2 half decks that you got, so you know, not the most interesting or complicated cards, I suppose. But then again, that is kind of the point. It's supposed to be a very easy to play deck, or half decks that is, that you can combine into one. But the one thing I will say is, maybe if you've watched my other video on the DM01 unboxing, you might remember that I said that back in those days, you could just take those 2 half decks, combine them into one deck, just take the pile that you get, take it to a tournament, and you might just get some wins, because Yeah, first of all, the individual card quality in there was not bad. Like light blockers are quite good. And also the power level of the game itself was much lower then. But with this deck, well, I'm not sure if back in DM10 days you could take this to a tournament and realistically get even one win. Right? Not only because you get some shitty cards like Tide Patroller and whatnot. I'm sorry if there's any Tide Patroller fans out there, but also just because in DM10 the game got power crept quite a lot by the introduction of multi-civ cards that were on average stronger than single civilization counterparts. And I'm actually quite surprised that we didn't get any multi-civilization cards in the starter set. I get that you want to protect new players from overly complicated mechanics, but then again, this is the DM10 starter set, right? It was released in Shockwaves of the Shattered Rainbow, so I think you would want to showcase the mechanic. Like, of course, maybe you know, not overwhelm the players with it, but you can include like 1 or 2 cards at least. And yeah, it wouldn't really work with this color combination because the Fire Nature deck could have multi-civilization cards, but the Nature and Water deck couldn't because Nature and Water are not allies. But that's easily fixable by just using Light instead of Water, which I think is better for a starter deck anyway. I feel like Light is more interactive, especially when it comes to blockers. So yeah, it wouldn't have been bad to, you know, see like maybe a Gonta, maybe a Sky Sword or something like that in here, and just make the starter deck just a little bit more both interesting and competitive. But that is just my opinion. Of course, I still think after having unboxed this, I still think that the DM1 starter deck did the best job at like onboarding new players. And even like during DM10 times, if I had to like recommend to a friend what to get, I would still probably upsell them on the DM01 starter deck over this one, just because yeah, the play pattern there I think is more fun between the two half decks. Although one thing that this starter product does right is this beautiful playmat, which you do not get in the first one, and also the complete rulebook with every, you know, silent skill and multi-civ cards and everything else. So that's it, that's what we get from the box. And one last thing, of course, and maybe the most interesting thing in here is the DM10 booster pack featuring a Jirabu, the Vile Centurion, on the artwork. It would be a really nice card to have. I'm actually missing some Gajira boots, so there we go. But there's so many good pulls in here. You know, we could get Paraulises, we could get Soul Swaps, we could get Bombazar, of course. But there's also you know, a lot of really bad pulls in here as well. So I guess we will have to see. You know, one of these booster packs itself in sealed condition can probably go for like $200, and I'm going to do the unthinkable and just unbox it right here and see how it goes and what we can pull out of it. So let's just see, carefully extracting all of the cards. And let's start opening it up. The last time I opened a DM10 booster pack in one of my videos, it didn't go so well. We didn't get anything notable. And let's see if our luck changes with this. Oh, already the first card. I know it's just a common. I'm not supposed to get excited about commons, but Benzo the Hidden Fury is one of my favorite cards recently. When you put it into the battle zone, you can choose one of your shields and put it into your hand. You cannot use the shield. You can use the shield trigger ability of that shield. So this is sort of like an Aqua Halcus. Yeah, you lose a shield, but it's an Aqua Halcus that can have a really big upside. Like if you do this and you hit something like a Locomotive, where it's just an incredible tempo play. Before proceeding though, I just realized we get this little thing, which used to be a puzzle card in all of the previous 9 sets, but in this one they changed the puzzle card to this redeemable promo card. So the way it would work is you would take this, you would take it to a local game store, present it, and you would get one promotional card in exchange for it, which I think was the red-green dragon guy. I will put it on screen here if I remember correctly. So moving on with the booster pack, we have Brad's Super Kicking Dynamo for our next common. It's a silent skill card. I think Shockwaves of the Shattered Rainbow is the set that introduced silent skill. It's never really kicked off because it's just so slow. You know, you have to play the creature, you have to attack with it, so that's already 2 turns, and then only on the 3rd turn do you get the benefit. It's just very slow. Next up, we have Thirst for the Hunt. I've never seen this card in my life. Each of your creature gets power attacker plus 1000 until the end of the turn. That's interesting. I can see how this could potentially be fun to play with. It's just 1 mana, so it's not expensive, but it does cost you the card. Next up, we have another silent skill card. We have Chimera the Oracle, which lets you add the top card of your deck into your shield's face down. This is really not a bad effect, but once again, it's put on a silent skill, which does limit its usability. Next card of the pack is Torpedo Cluster. It's a 3 mana 3000. When you put this creature into the battle zone, return a card from your mana zone to your hand. Oh, I see, so it's just a retrain of that card, the Solid Skin Fish, which is a card that I've grown to like quite a lot recently. I think this may even have the better art than Solid Skin Fish, so maybe I use this card somewhere. Next up we have Nightmare Invader. It's just a 4 mana 3000 vanilla. Not great, not all nightmares end when you wake up. Ooh, scary. And I think now we are getting into the uncommons maybe? Karate Potato. I know a certain someone who's a real fan of this card. It's a shield trigger and it allows you to ramp up to 2 cards. Of course it has to be from your hand, which does put you down in card advantage, but it can work within certain decks. So that is our first uncommon. Then we have our first dual-sieve card, Ulex the Dauntless. Your opponent can't tap this creature. It's a 3 mana 3000, and it's a Spirit Quartz, which is a new race introduced in this set. And the next card is not a foil. Okay, we did not get a foil in this pack. We just got another silent skill card. Womp Womp. It's add the top card of your shield face down. Isn't this the same effect? Add the top card of your deck to your shield's face down. It is the same effect. It's just that one is a bigger version of the other. And at least for our rare, we get a Horrible Zoltan. Whenever you put a Cyber Virus into the battle zone, you may discard up to 2 cards from your hand, and for each card you discard, choose a creature in the battle zone and return it to its owner's hand. This is kind of terrible, but I do love the flavor and the synergy of a Cyber Lord commanding the Cyber Viruses and whatnot. Of course, we did not get anything of value, you know, no Soul Swap releases or any foils at all. But that was kind of to be expected. There's a lot of junk in this set. Of course, it would have been nice to open something of value, but it is what it is. It's kind of within expectations. So that is what we get in the box. We get the starter set, which has these 2 half decks that can be combined into one deck with all of these beautiful cards. We get the Smash Warriors Tagandu foil promo, which is just a very beautiful card. We get the booster pack, which contained nothing of value, but of course your booster pack might contain something of value. We get the advanced rulebook, which is the most complete version yet, which explains all of the rules and niche interactions. And then we get the big, huge playmat, which doubles as a poster/collector list on the back. And of course, the box itself, which is quite pretty in it of itself. It's not a Battle-King box, it's hollow and everything. And yeah, that is all of the box's contents. And that's it, the elusive rare Duel Masters DM10 2-player starter set. This is everything you get in the box. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into what the box contains. The final deck product that I've had to unbox for this channel. Now everything is in there. If you want to see an unboxing of any of the other starter decks or theme decks or whatnot, you can look on my channel. They should all be there. I had a lot of fun opening it. I really hope you had fun watching as well. That's it from me for today. See you next time, and as always, take care.